In this video, I'm going to show you how to obtain the lightning element in Crimson Desert. In order to be able to access the location where you unlock the lightning element, you'll need to be at least at chapter 4 in the main quest and obtain the key to the Spire of the Stars after beating the Tenebrum boss. Then, after the Spire of the Stars, you reach a series of sky islands, about 4 in total. And in this video I'm going to go over a step-by-step solution to all of them. I'm going to include timestamps, so feel free to skip if you are already ahead. But for now, let's start at the Spire of the Stars. This spire can only be entered in chapter 4 when you receive the key after completing a certain main quest. Once inside, you'll see some purple icons on the minimap indicating some quest items. In order to obtain them, you'll need to use Force Palm on these walls. Then they'll rotate to reveal the hidden item. There are 3 of these inside the spire. Once you obtain all of them, go ahead and interact with the buttons at the center of the spire to insert the items you just picked up inside this mechanism. When you put them in the mechanism, you'll notice the position of the symbols plate changing. On the walls, in the 2 rooms nearby, you'll see some symbols that have a certain position on the walls. You'll have to match the position of the mechanism in the center of the spire with the positions shown on the walls. In order to pull down a plate, you'll have to climb the wall and simply hang on to the plate until it comes down to the desired position. Once all 4 of them match the positions indicated on the walls, the platform in the middle of the spire will activate and you'll be able to ascend to the top level where there is an abyss gate. Go through the abyss gate and you'll be able to enter the first sky island in this chain. The mechanism on the sky island is activated by using axiom force on the circle on these pillars. Then you can activate the selected pillar to make the floating platform move towards it. The goal of this puzzle is to step on the platform and activate the uppermost pillar to reach the top of the sky island. There is a much easier way, however, and that is to use the axiom force to pull yourself upwards and entirely skip the puzzle. Once on top, you'll need to activate the abyss nexus, either by jumping and using force palm or by crouching and using force palm, which will make you use force palm downwards. Then a mysterious man will appear and take the abyss artifact sadly, and then kick you off the island. However, you can immediately come back to the island and then head onto the sky bridge. Here you'll come across a gap in the platforms where there is a hidden chest with some useful loot, so make sure not to miss it. The first thing you'll want to do is head to the opposite side of the room and look for an abyss power supply. You'll want to grab it and slowly push it closer toward the socket. Then, once in place, use force palm to set it into the socket. Next, you'll notice there are 2 round machines that are emitting light into the room. The first one is aiming at a mirror, and its light is eventually reflected into the gem above the doorway. The second one is aiming at the wall. You'll want to approach the first one and use axiom force on its backside, then redirect it toward a different mirror. Keep an eye on the doorway until the light is hitting the other gemstone than the one it was hitting at first. Now go onto the second machine that's aiming at the wall and move its light onto this mirror. Then, while keeping an eye towards the doorway, adjust it slightly so the light is hitting the gemstone. Now you'll want to head towards the door and glide. The fan will lift you upwards. Once outside, look at this wire and interact with it to connect it. Then, to activate the abyss nexus, you'll want to either jump and use force palm or crouch and use force palm in order to push it downwards. The first thing you'll notice once you get past the sky bridge is that the entrance is blocked by an invisible wall. In order to turn off the wall, you'll need to grab the two power cells nearby and position them on the pillars. Once you got both power cells on the pillars and turned off the wall, you'll want to shoot your bow at the two yellow targets quickly at the same time. Then use Nature Grasp to open up the door. Inside, you'll see a large number of lasers with the golden sword in the middle. To get past this puzzle, you'll need to use the Focused Shot ability, which allows you to slow down time while aiming with your bow. Using this ability, press right click to mark the 4 targets, then shoot them at the same time. If you did this correctly, the lasers will turn off and you'll be able to pick up the sword. This will trigger a hidden entrance underneath the sword. Here is a small room with lasers. You can get past the lasers easily by climbing onto the top of the beams above them. On the other side, there'll be a power cell that you must push into the socket to activate a teleporter. The teleporter will then send you outside the room. Here you'll find a battery that you need to use Force Palm to push into the socket. Now you'll be able to use Force Palm to activate the Abyss Nexus. For this Sky Island, you'll need to have the Focus Shot ability unlocked. This ability allows you to slow down time and mark targets to shoot quickly. Level 1 of this ability is enough to complete this Sky Island. Here there is a large hole in the middle of the island, and along the 4 sides of the hole there are rows of targets that you must hit until they turn blue. In order to shoot them, you have to enter focused mode while aiming your bow and right click to mark each target, then left click to shoot all the marks at the same time. The trick here is that you have to be far enough and at an angle where your arrows will hit the yellow centerpiece, not the edge. Once all 4 sides of the hole are blue, the big fan in the hole will turn on and you'll be able to glide up where there are more targets that you must shoot. The secret here is to pull out your bow only as you're going up, because you will still have the same inertia even when you stop gliding. If you wait until you start to fall, you'll have a much smaller window to shoot the yellow target, so make sure to only pull out your bow as you're ascending. Once all the targets are blue, all you need to do is head down and use jump then force palm or crouch then force palm onto the big button to activate the Abyss Nexus. Then go ahead and pick up the Abyss artifact. Once you pick up the artifact, you will have unlocked the lightning element. You can use this element right away with the right key depending on your controls. In most cases that's the key 4 on your keyboard, right above the WASD keys. Or you can unlock the imbue element skill to use it with your attacks. Thanks for watching, and if this video helped you, leave a like or subscribe for more.